The reason I'm saying it's a little different now is that there's this understanding that's been developed around digital assets. And I think that they're being looked at as not necessarily the first thing that if you're worried, you try to remove or de-risk a portfolio. They've become, I think, more of a part of the core discussion of any robust strategy for people that are involved, whether they're major banks or other types of institutions or funds. And that's a good thing. Yeah. Because that opens the door for other projects. And ultimately, I still believe the credible projects will ultimately carry the day. And I think, Cardano is one. I certainly think Algorand is one. And part of that is, not playing into the mob of current, thought and just hope you're sort of running along with the latest trend and fad. And there's a lot of noise there. Like I said before, signal to noise. But in this particular case, sometimes things don't happen exactly when we want them, but in the long run, they will. And I think the credible projects and the ones that are doing real building and real work are going to be around for a while. And that will ultimately still make, they'll still make themselves known to people that are watching the space,
Yeah. You have Gary Gensler has been defeated a few times, and the biggest one was XRP. And I was always a big fan of XRP, but it's happy and it's positive for the industry as a whole to, get more clarification out of that. And again, we still have to win over Jamie Dimon, but we know JP Morgan is buying Bitcoin as well. They're doing it for their clients. So, a little double talk is still there, but it's hard to deny, Bitcoin is being an credible asset, and it's still so young.
Right.
Right. And I would say Coinbase wins, you'll see a lot more people getting in line.
I think so. And again, I've always said this. I think every credible project is very interested in clarity from a regulatory perspective and happy with clarity. And the sad part is that other parts of the world have that and have taken the lead in terms of innovation and development, that the United States, I think, being a US person, so I'm very biased, I think the US needs to take its rightful place amongst the leaders in the space, and we're just hurting ourselves.
I have a couple questions here as well. One, I want to know, what is the current, it's kind of like zoom in on Cardano and then also compare it maybe to Algorand, your past experience. What is the current, is USDC on Cardano, or what is the largest stable coin, I guess, that is used for, people who are on Cardano? And then also, just because you are from Algorand, and you talk about, these blockchains with substance, the ones that will, are credible, so far, what are your, opinions, thoughts on the differences maybe between Cardano and Algorand and how they, are fit for purpose in their own respective categories?
Yeah. So if you look at, people can go to the Messari report, the latest Messari report, and take a look at all the different assets. There are a number of different types of stable assets within the Cardano ecosystem. JED is one that I mentioned before. There's IUSD, which is Indigo is there. There's a handful. But as I go back to, but USDC is not, I go back to what I said before, is that, every ecosystem presents an equal opportunity. I think Cardano's got a nice, TVL, sort of increasing TVL, but I think needs to assume its rightful place in the stablecoin discussion. And there's, like I said, a huge opportunity to do that within the ecosystem, given the size of it. If you look at the comparisons between the two, there's a lot of similarities. I think I did sort of joke when I came on that, zero downtime in my career in this space is might be the thing I put on my tombstone. It's just going to say zero downtime. I don't know what that means, right? So I think that, there's similarities there. There's similarities with respect to a great commitment to research and academic rigor. I think Charles, the number of papers that Cardano has published, it's a very disciplined and detailed academic environment that's done a nice job of translating that to new products and innovation. I think Algorand also had a very deep commitment to research with Sylvia McCallie and other luminaries at that organization. And I think that's probably why there was such a high degree of mutual respect between the two organizations for so long, because they're the OGs of research, all like to hang out. So I think that's a similarity. I do think there's a strong similarity towards a drive to decentralize. And one of the things that I know Charles talks a lot about, and we used to talk about quite a lot, is that's an unsolved issue for the blockchain and crypto community. There is still a need to push forward and decentralize appropriately and find the right way to govern those decentralized systems. So, if you look at, if we talked about with some of the stable coins that you brought up, USDC Tether, those are more centralized assets, and we can't continue to gravitate that way. But we also don't want centralized authorities just reinventing the same thing that the banking system did. So an idea of an evolved governance structure that, both allows for the evolution of your community, driven by the community, is something that I know there was a strong commitment before at Algorand to work through, and there continues to be. But I can tell you that is front and center. And if you watch Charles talk, he talks very eloquently about the imperative for rethinking governance and how that's done. So like in Cardano, for example, there's $1 billion ADA that is in essentially like a sovereign wealth fund that can't be touched by anyone, that the community ultimately will be able to vote on how that's deployed into ongoing innovation, and that's not controlled by anyone. And if you look at a number of the things that are being created technically within the Cardano ecosystem, it also is encouraging the use of sort of a revolutionary way to think about voting and putting that into play around all decisions that are being made. But it is a core challenge to create activity with a decentralized voting system.
Yeah, we see we had Chris Bard on. He'll be back soon enough with Project Catalyst, and that's something that is very interesting, a great way to get the community involved, and so they can decide on what they want to build. And from my understanding, Cardano is one of the most like decentralized blockchains as well, with the nodes and distribution.